Hannah. Caesar, the one and only Caesar. One and only Hannah Banana. One and only Simba. Simba. Spread. Okay, well, this morning, I had a good one this morning. At least I remembered all of it. Because lately, I've been getting crappy ones. And they haven't been staying in my brain. You know what I'm saying, Simba? They have not been staying in my brain. Okay, so, well, I actually had two of them, but I'll talk about the second one first. So, I was at my old apartment over there on Elm Arcade Street. It's real ghetto over there. Down a little alleyway. And I used to live in apartment C. It was a triplex. And then even when I didn't live there, I still went over there a lot. Because my friend Angie lived there still, even after I didn't live there. She lived there for quite a while. And then I think I lived there at least a year or a little bit longer. And then I moved back home. And I was still a college student. And so I think, so we hung out in that in that duplex from about, let me see, at least 6 years. Yeah, about 6, or, off and on 6 years. I would be going over there for about 6 years. And actually, maybe more like 7 years. But I only lived there, I think, about a year and a half. But anyway, so the aliens gave me lots of experiences in this place, in this triplex. But basically, A, C, B, A. Quit scratching. Quit out. So this, here was the building. And it was apartment A, apartment B, and apartment C. And it was just a little alleyway. The funny thing is, my uncle, way before I was born, he lived up in this little white house over here, down that street. And I don't think it was real ghetto back then, but it's kind of over there by the college. And it's really ghetto now because I drove down there many years ago. And I don't know if a tornado lifted it up off the foundation, but it looked like it was up off the foundation. So I don't know. That was kind of weird. But it was pretty decent when we first moved in there. And then it just started deteriorating because, Slumlord guy, he never did fix. Oh, you know what? Shit, that just came back to me. Or was that in some other kind of dream that I just don't remember? And that's the only part I remember about the landlord. Shit, let me think. Well, anyway, I don't know, because it seemed like it was another part of some dream several days ago or whatever. But anyway, I can talk about that too. But so yeah, and it was I've had a lot of alien activity in there. But it don't matter where you go, you're still gonna have a lot of alien activity because it's not ghosts. It's called aliens. They go wherever you go. So anyway, and it was an experience. It was pretty much exactly laid out exactly. I mean, it still seemed different in the experience because it seemed like a different dimension. It feels different. It didn't feel like 3D, But it was laid out exactly. Bedrooms over here, and then the kitchen, bathroom, and then all the living room over here. And it was kind of like my mom and my mom and my brother. It's like for whatever reason they had dropped me off at Angie's apartment, and I was visiting her, and it was like I was visiting her one last time because she was about to head out and move someplace else, and I'll get to that in a little bit. And okay, so oh, and the funny thing is too, her place was really nice and kempt, and she didn't really hardly have like a whole bunch of stuff. Like she had a bed, dresser, and there's, a few appliances and stuff, and then just like a couch, and it was all very kempt, but normally in real life she wasn't like that. And what the deal was, she wasn't gonna take anything with her. She was just gonna leave everything in the apartment. She was gonna leave everything in the apartment because it was like, well, and I know Joel got that from, because I know she kind of had done stuff like that before, left a few stuff behind, or she would give a lot of crap to me, because she moved around a lot. So in this scenario, okay, hold on, no, I think it was a part of this scenario. Yeah, okay, but that was towards, like the end or whatever, and I just barely remembered it. But so it's like she was just gonna leave everything in the apartment because she just didn't have the money, to like hire a moving company to move it for her to this other, well, I'll get to that in a minute, to this other place called Village, Missouri. And I wrote some of these details down this morning, but I forgot to bring him home, but I totally remember everything. And I did look up to see if there was a Village, Missouri, and there actually is like a Village Island, it's called 3 Village Island, Missouri, or something like that. But anyway, so it was, I don't know, I'm wondering if Joel, I don't know why he would put Village, but it could be because I was watching that Christmas Story, and it's kind of like they live in a little Arctic little village, and maybe that's why he came up with Village, Missouri. But anyway, she was about to hurry up and move to Village, Missouri with this older gay guy. And anyway, so anyway, and I was just kind of looking around, and everything was just all kempt, but she had her bed, dresser, and couch and everything. And I looked in her bedroom, I looked in the kitchen, and then I looked over here, and then, my mom and brother were sitting over here, and she had a couple chairs and stuff. But she didn't, just have a whole ton. It was just normal stuff, but it wasn't overcrowded or unkempt or anything. And I started looking around, and I started thinking, well, I know none of this stuff is expensive or whatever, but I still, if it was me, I wouldn't be leaving all the shit in here. I was thinking that, as I was looking around at her stuff. Even though nothing looked expensive, everything was just really clean and kempt and everything. I just couldn't believe she was just going to leave everything in the apartment. Because it was like she just didn't want to pay the money to have it moved to this, in with this gay guy. And as far as I remember, they were going to move into, it was a house. It was a little house that they were going to move, or that he was already, no, wait a minute, hold on. He came later in the scenario. Well, anyway, I can't remember. The gay guy showed up later in the scenario. As far as I remember, like he already had the house rented or whatever in Village, Missouri. Okay, but that's a little later. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so, I gotta hurry up before I forget all this. So, so anyway, they were gonna move to, that's where she was moving to, Village, Missouri. So I started, I looked, and a lot of the scenario, I was just walking around and we were talking, And I was just like kind of upset that she was moving and everything. And I knew that would be the last time I would see her for a long time. Like I didn't know when I would see her again, but I knew that I could go visit her eventually. And then eventually I went over here. Like I say, the scenario was laid out almost exactly like it, like it really was in real life. And so I went over and as she was getting ready and fiddling around the bedroom and kind of packing or whatever, what little things she was going to pack or whatever, I started nosying around, and I went over to the kitchen where it was just directly across from the bedroom. The kitchen was right. The refrigerator, The refrigerator was right there. In real life, that's where the refrigerator was, and the bathroom was right there. I don't remember seeing the bathroom, but it was right there. And then that's her bedroom, and then here was the refrigerator, and here's the big long kitchen, which is connected to the small, teeny tiny living room. But in the scenario, it was a little bigger than in real life. And so I looked in the refrigerator, and she had like two horizontal plastic see-through things of grapes, kind of in the middle back part of the refrigerator, and then the front right corner of the refrigerator on a lower shelf, she had two small little plastic see-through grapes, little what do you call it? Canisters, not canisters, little plastic, tubs of grapes. They kind of have holes in the bottom, kind of like at Aldi's, how you get them at Aldi's. And I've been eating a lot of grapes lately, so that's why Joel put that in here. So I picked up, and there was a couple other things in there besides the grapes, and I can't remember. This was all very, very vivid. But there was a couple other things in the refrigerator, and like I can't remember what it was. But so I picked up one of the small little canisters of grapes, the little plastic canisters of grapes, and then I started kind of walking over, or walking down here walking down here, which is still part of the kitchen, but it's kind of connected to the living room. And then I was facing this way, but I looked down and I noticed how they were like fluorescent blue looking. And so I looked at them and I'm like, they look real, I was thinking in my head, they look real fakeish. And I was like, I wonder if these are going to taste like chemicals or something. Well, sure enough, I popped like two of them in my mouth, and they had like a chemically kind of taste, not a real hardcore chemically type of taste, but more like a delicate chemically kind of taste. And because I knew, like in real life, Angie would always buy cheap shit or whatever. She accused me of buying cheap shit, but she would too, like the cheapest ass toilet paper and shit. And so that's where Joel gets that from. So that was kind of funny. But okay, so okay, hold on. Here's what the color looked like. It was a very beautiful color of grapes. Okay, hold on. Where's that at? Let's see. Kind of like that color right there. Beautiful fluorescent kind of blue. And I don't know, it may show up darker in the camera. But yeah, they were like a beautiful I guess it could be called neon color maybe. But anyway, it was kind of like, that's how I described it when I was in the scenario. I was like, wow, these are like fluorescent blue. And they weren't glowing or anything. And so I popped a couple in my mouth. And at that time, I noticed my brother and mom were just kind of talking over in the living room area and sitting in some chairs. And I know there was at least one couch. And so I popped a couple in my mouth, and I'm like, yeah, like sure enough, they tasted chemically. And so I sort of spit them out. And I looked on the canister. I looked up at the right hand top corner of the canister of grapes. It may not be called the canister. I don't know what you call it. Or the little tub of grapes. And it said Vaughn's. And red letters, and small red letters. It said Vaughn's. And that's when I was like, I knew it. You know, she bought him at some cheap ass off the wall grocery store. In real life, that's a grocery store in California. And that's not it's just a normal grocery store, you know, like Price Cutter or Dillon's or whatever. But in the scenario, it was like I knew that was some off-brand, off-the-wall, cheap-ass grocery store that sold cheap shit. And I know where Joe got that from too. I think he specifically got that from that grocery store that used to be down there by the college that was really old, and it always seemed really dirty, and it was just kind of nasty. It's not still there, and I can't remember what it was called. I think it changed names a couple times, but it was a small little hole-in-the-wall grocery store over there by the college. And I went in there a couple times, but I didn't go in there like faithfully. Only when I wanted like a quick snack or something, like donuts or something. But I know that's where Joe got that from. But anyway, in the scenario, like I say, Vaughn's was very like, you know, cheap ass, you know, where you could buy cheaper things. And so, you know, I knew that's why the grapes tasted like shit. Okay, so then, sorry, there's another part. So, I reached down and, as far as I remember, I went and got like another tub of grapes. Yeah, okay. I went to the refrigerator and got another, where am I at? Tub of grapes. And then I started eating a couple more, and then this is kind of weird, but I started eating a couple more, and then all of a sudden it turned into almost like a little, fudgy, soft, not fudgy, small little brownie. Inside was almost like a little brownie, but it was almost like it turned into a candy bar. A little miniature candy bar that was kind of brownie, kind of soft inside, which that was kind of weird because I was trying to, you know, get some good grapes to taste. So I went to get another canister of grapes, the more rectangular, longer canister of grapes. And then, I put a couple in my mouth, and all of a sudden it turned into a little brownie. And I was like, oh my God, that could be gluten. And then I kind of started like spitting it out and everything. But I knew that I had already swallowed some of it, but I didn't react or anything. And Joel's always doing that now. And he's always doing stuff like that, making other things change and shapeshift into something else. Okay, so that was another part of the scenario. And then eventually eventually at that time, as far as I remember, the landlord, I can't remember if he showed up or I just kind of started having visions of him right about this point. I think it may have just been images of him when I was in the scenario, because I started thinking, well, you know, he's not going to like having to pay to have all that shit moved out of there, you know. And then I remember thinking, is he alive? Because I knew that he was dead. I knew he had died a long time ago. Like in the scenario, he was supposedly still alive because Angie talked about the landlord. I can't think of his name. It was a common name. Brian, David, something like that. But anyway. And, so I started having these, because Angie started talking about, you know, him, the landlord, which his name was, in real life, it was a common name, but I can't remember what it was, so I'll pretend like it's Brian. So, she started talking about him, and I started thinking, well, isn't he dead? Didn't he die like 15, 20 years ago? And I forgot what he died of, liver cancer. What was his name? David? Well, it don't matter, but anyway. So in the scenario, you know, he was still alive, but it's like in the scenario, I was still living in 3D because I knew that he was dead. And so I was just wondering, you know, I was like, isn't he dead? You know, but in the scenario, he was alive. And so then after that, like, Angie starts walking around her bedroom, and my brother and my mom are still conversing out here and everything. And I go in there and start talking to Angie and watching her kind of get things arranged and everything to get ready to get out of there and move. And This was kind of funny. Oh, actually, I did see the bathroom one time. Yes, I did. And actually, doing a little picture like this, it helps me remember everything. Okay, so I did see the bathroom briefly. I did, and it seemed like at this point, though, the bathroom kind of moved a little closer into her bedroom. But it was so funny. So I took a real good look at Angie at this point, and oh my God. It didn't even look like her, but I looked as I started walking around her bedroom, as she was walking around in there. I started talking to her and everything. I was facing this way, and Angie, she all of a sudden she had this long curly hair. I mean, beyond her shoulders, and it was black. Cause she was into dyeing her hair. But it looked so funny. At that point, it did not look like her whatsoever. It looked like a totally different person, almost like a man. But she let her hair grow long, and it was past her shoulders a little bit, and it was all curly and black. Because I was like, wow, you dyed your hair, you know? And like all the other times before this, it's like I just kind of was seeing like the back of her head and stuff as she was walking around and stuff. And then right after that, Joel, he's the one that creates all these scenarios for me. All of a sudden, I started looking, and, she comes over here into the bathroom. So I did see one glimpse of the bathroom, and she was facing that way at this point, down into like the sink. And then all of a sudden she had short hair, kind of like she had just, went from that curly black hair to all of a sudden she shaved the sides of her hair like some of these dykes do. They shave, like you see at dyke bars and shit. They'll shave the side of their hair, and then they'll put this big old long piece and flap it over the other part of their head. That's what it looked like. Angie was facing that way, and I was, standing right here. Angie was right there, facing that way. And I started looking at her, fixing her hair. And now at that time, her hair was more like brown, like darker brown. So that was kind of funny. And I remember even thinking that, like how she was flapping her hair over and shaving her head, like at the right side of her head, how it was all shaven. It reminded me of, I was thinking, wow, she's doing her hairstyle like some Daiko or whatever. And so that was a funny part of the scenario. And then, so basically, okay, let me just make sure I don't forget anything. I mean, I have more stuff to talk about, but I want to make sure I don't forget anything. Refrigerator, Vaughn's, fluorescent grapes. Okay, and then, I just want to remember if I don't forget anything up until, I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting any small details. But anyway, there's the other weird part too. Okay, so after that, Angie, I knew my mom and brother were getting ready to take me back home. And I knew I was kind of going to be sad, that she was going to leave and everything. And as she said that it was almost time to go and everything, I start walking back into the living room. And this is so weird. All of a sudden, I see, my brother and mom aren't on this particular couch. Like, they're sitting in chairs. But all of a sudden, on the couch, there's like, well, it's right here, the couch. But I'll just draw it right here. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't facing that way. It was facing kind of this way. And then it was, over here. And my brother and mom were over here. And all of a sudden, there was like 2 to 3 small little stuffed animal, big stuffed animals, mannequin looking things. There's about 3 of them right there. And then over at this, at the right part of the couch, there's this huge, like 7 foot tall female, like mannequin. And what was really weird, when I looked at it, I was like, that's what my sister used to have. in her house or whatever. And somehow, apparently, she gave it to Angie, and it was right there, right at the end of the couch, right there to the right side, and all this other stuff was like big stuffed animal looking things, and I want to say this is kind of weird, but I think Joel was trying to copy off of that movie, that Christmas movie with Brooke Shields, because Brooke Shields is kind of a big person, and some people think she's a man or whatever, and she might not be. It may be like maybe because I think she could be European, and some European people are kind of dykey looking. So some of these people may not be transsexuals, but it may be because they're European. But anyway, so I think he was trying to copy off of her, Brooke Shields, because when I looked at it, it was very large mannequin, and that's kind of the thought that I had, that it was supposed to be like Brooke Shields or something, but it didn't look exactly like her, and it was like a big mannequin with that long hair or whatever. And I knew that used to be my sister's, and apparently she gave it to my friend Angie. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, no, she's not going to leave that in this apartment. I'm taking that thing home, because it was a neat little thing to have, or big thing to have, I mean. And I just couldn't believe she was going to leave all that in the damn apartment. So that I was definitely going to take home with me. And oh yeah, the part came back to me. And I started having these images in my head that exactly where I was going to put it once I came back to my house, which in the scenario, my house was this house. The exact replica of this house. In the scenario, the thoughts I had of my house was this house. And I was going to put her right there where the maroon jacket is. Right there, that's where I was going to put her, sitting. And she was going to, her head was going to be facing, that way. She's going to be sitting in that chair right there. And I started having these visions that would probably be kind of creepy and everything, but I wasn't about to leave that in that house. In that apartment, I mean, because I knew it was a cool little thing to have, that big old mannequin. I just couldn't believe that she was going to leave all that shit, all that cool stuffed animals and that big old mannequin. And like I say, so when I had visions exactly that I was going to put her in that chair, I had visions of that. I started thinking, that's going to be creepy coming in the house, and I'm going to be thinking somebody's sitting there when nobody's really sitting there, except for a, non-live person and an inanimate object or whatever. And so I started having those thoughts and everything, and I know where Joe got that from, because I have thought about, like, that would be cool to have a big old mannequin, like, in the corner, or like one of those big, huge, medieval-looking, like you see in Game of Thrones, that has those metal hoods on, metal face and hoods on, like in the corner right there. That would just be scary and creepy as hell. I couldn't have something like that, in my house, because that would be downright creepy. Now, a mannequin I could maybe have, but something like that big old metal medieval looking thing, those were some scary motherfuckers in Game of Thrones, and they would show those big old medieval men behind those what do you call those suits? Tin suits or whatever, metal suits, whatever you call them. And like, that would be creepy, having some big old thing right there in the corner. But just a normal little mannequin would still be creepy, but not as creepy as that thing. But so I know that's kind of where Joel got that idea, and that's why I knew. I mean, that's why in the scenario I knew that I would probably be creeped out, placing that mannequin right there in the chair. And like I said, I know another reason why Joe put, or in the scenario, why he made it be my sister's. Because she is always giving me stuff, but not only that, like my mom just gave me two bedspreads from when we were when I was 4 years old, all the way up to, I don't know, eight or something like that. My sister was 5. Donald Duck. I put the Donald Duck one on. I have a lot of retro stuff in my house, toys from when I was 1.5 and older. So my mom brought those 2 bedspreads over, 50 years old. I put the Donald Duck one on my bed, and then the Raggedy Ann, that was my sister, and I put it up in my closet. And so that's what Joel was copying off of, that basically my sister gave that to Angie because I ended up getting the bedspreads and stuff from my mom, which used to be my sister. The Raggedy Ann was my sister's. So I know that's where he got this idea and everything, and all these thoughts to make me think, or whatever, all these thoughts he put in my head and stuff. Okay, so then after that, okay, there's one more part, but I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. But yeah, the aliens, they had put me in the same building like many times, and I mean the same apartment many times, and it would be so similar in the scenario. I mean, very similar all the times, pretty much. In the scenario, this apartment that we used to live at, I've had many experiences in there. And okay, so the last part of the scenario, okay, hold on. So the last part of the scenario, okay, so hold on. So I'm like coming out of the bedroom again. This way, and then that's where I see the kind of biggish, tallish gay guy, and he kind of had curlyish, grayish hair, and he was telling me we're gonna move to. Oh yeah, I did almost forget something, but because when I draw pictures like this, it makes me remember everything, and I just realized that now, how it makes me like remember everything. Okay, so that's when he sort of appeared, and he's like, because I was like, where are you guys gonna move to? And he said, we're gonna move to Village, Missouri. And I knew that he was a gay guy that Angie had met like at work, like at a nursing home or something like that. Because Angie would always tell me, at some nursing homes, she'll be like, oh, I worked with this gay guy and blah, 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 blah. And in the scenario, he looked at least 60 or 64, something like that. And I remember thinking, in my head, like, can he not get laid or something? How come he doesn't have a partner or whatever? And I just remember thinking, he probably can't get laid and blah, 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 blah. So Angie was going to move in with them as a roommate, once they got to Village, Missouri. And like I say, in the scenario, it seemed like he already had a house that he was renting, or that, just freshly rented, and Angie was going to move in with them to help him pay bills and everything. And okay, hold on. Okay, yeah. So the other part was, like I said, I almost forgot. The other part was, as he told me he was going to be moving to Village, Missouri. And then we all, at this time, we're all in the living room standing around. And he said, or, the living room / kitchen, because like I say, the kitchen just runs right into the little living room right there. And he said, what did he say? He said, yeah, we're going to move to Village, Missouri, but, everybody has security guards and bodyguards and stuff. All the houses, they all have security guards, bodyguards, stuff like that. And I remember thinking in my head, that must be, like, I didn't verbally say it, but I was thinking in my head, Village, Missouri must be up near St. Louis or something. Because I started thinking about, like, East St. Louis, Illinois, and I think that's actually the city name is East St. Louis, but it's actually in Illinois. Like, it's not really East St. Louis. Well, it really is East St. Louis, but East St. Louis is really a town, a city. But anyway, so I started having these thoughts when he said everybody has bodyguards at their houses. I just remember thinking, damn, it must be a dangerous area, and Village, Missouri must be up near St. Louis. Now, when I looked up when I looked up village, when I looked up that town, I mean, when I looked up to see if there was a village, Missouri, and it said, what did it say? 3 Lakes Village or something like that. I don't think, I can't remember if I saw where it was exactly. I can't remember if it really is near St. Louis or not. I'll have to go look again. But there really isn't a village, Missouri. But like I say, there is something called Three Village Island or Village Island or something like that. But I'll go look again. But anyway, so that was all kind of funny. But yeah, it was a pretty fun experience. I mean, because lately I've been getting things that I just can't remember, or that leaves me really fast and I just can't remember them. And so this one, it was a pretty good one, even though, I mean, pretty good because I could remember everything. And now I did have a small experience before that, and OBE VR Lucid Dream, and I know I had about 5 others before that, but this one trumped them all, and I almost forgot about the one right before this one too. The one I had right before this one, it was fun too. I mean, it was kind of depressing, but it was kind of like I was at my workplace looking out like the window. I don't know if I can't remember if I was looking out the window or just sort of standing in the parking lot looking at a strip mall type of thing. And there really is kind of like, you know, a strip mall. Well, I don't know if you call it a strip mall. I don't know what you call it. A building with a whole bunch of restaurants and stuff. I don't know what you call that. Because you wouldn't call that a strip mall, I don't think, but I'm sure it has a name. But so anyway, so I was just kind of standing here at work, and then here's the strip mall, and then this one right here, one of the what do you call it? One of the businesses. Okay, so here I was at work, looking out at the strip mall, so to speak, over here, and there was, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 businesses. So about the second one over, it was completely in disarray. A bunch of clothes thrown everywhere and trash thrown everywhere. It's because the woman, I somehow knew it was an older woman. The woman closed shop and went out of business. And the door was, I mean, there wasn't even any doors. It was just completely open. And I looked inside, and like I say, it's like she owned like a Goodwill type of store, like a thrift store. It was a thrift store. And she went out of business, so she just left all the shit, like, you know, in her business. But, you know, over the weeks and stuff, it became all wet and damaged and stuff because there was no doors and this was all completely open. And I started looking in there. But what was really sad was I saw at least 40 cats in there. And then, it was getting dusk. It was like dusk outside. And then I walked out, and over here in the little alleyway, there was like 50 more cats. And I remember thinking, wow, there's a lot of stray cats. And I remember thinking they're not being fed and blah, 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 blah. So I knew I was going to run home and then come back and give them some food. But that was all very vivid and everything, but that was kind of fun. That was a little shorter experience, but it was kind of fun and everything. And I know where Joe got that from because I did just look up some videos last night. I don't know why these Australians are tripping about feral cats and shit, and they're a bunch of rednecks over there and they fucking shoot them. But there's activist people, you know, trying to kick their fucking ass for doing that. You know, people like me that love cats. They're not killing no freaking birds. That's bullshit. Birds come out during the day. Feral cats are fucking nocturnal. They ain't killing no fucking birds. They're just fucking rednecks is what they are. So that kind of pissed me off watching that video. but they're gonna make it illegal to do that because they're gonna say that you can only, you know, trap, neuter, and release or whatever. Because that's what we do in America. Now Australia, yeah, no offense, but Australia, you can tell they're like, what do you call it? They're behind the times. Whatever word that is, I forgot what word that is. They're behind the times, like living in a caveman times. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's what a caveman would do. I know there's a better word for it, but I just can't think of it right now. But I mean, no, the animal activists would be on their fucking ass so fast if they did shit like that around here. I mean, they probably do stuff like that in America in maybe small, isolated areas, and nobody knows about it. But yeah, Australia, they seem backwards, number one. And I know there's better words for it, but I just can't think of them right now. Shit, what would that... I mean, it would be like in the mountains of Arkansas, you know, how some of those mountain men live. That's what it would be like. There's words for it, but I can't think of it right now. Thanks for listening. Oh, well, this has nothing to do with OBE VR Lucid Dreams, but Goldie, like, I knew Goldie reminded me of something. I knew she reminded me of something, but I couldn't think what it was until last night. And I realized Goldie reminds me, my red gold cat reminds me of a freaking kangaroo with those big old ears and big old nose. And well, she also freaking hops around like a damn kangaroo too. She's so damn hyper and shit. But anyway, so and how did I get on kangaroos? I can't remember. But anyway, I don't know, but I just wanted to see what kangaroos were like, or if you could have them as pets or whatever. So that's when I started looking at kangaroos, and that's when I realized she reminded me of a kangaroo. Like Simba reminds me of a gremlin when I cut him or when I shave him a certain way around the face and ears and stuff. Okay, well, thanks for listening. It's dinner time. Dinner time. Oh my God, I'm trying to watch this. It's kind of like Titanic, but I don't know if I could get into it. It's called 1899 on Netflix. And I'm watching this other movie, it's a Christmas movie, but I don't know, it's too freaking boring. So I went off on Netflix and I watched the first episode of 1899, but I just don't know if I'm going to like it. But maybe by the second episode, I might like it, but I mean, it's nothing like Titanic, but it's kind of similar. But anyway, so yeah, so I'll probably try to watch an episode. I mean, it's kind of real demonic and everything. Titanic wasn't like that. And I'm surprised the aliens haven't freaking, because since I'm sitting here, I've stared at that so many times. Why would the aliens not? Well, I know once or twice, I think they did a long time ago give me, I mean, they have given me experiences like on cruise boats and stuff, but I can't believe they haven't given me a really good experience, you know, scenario being on Titanic, since I'm staring at it so many times, and I already know it's supposed to be wood and everything. I mean, I know I've had some, you know, some maybe not so good ones. I know I have, because I remember the wood floors and stuff. But that didn't make it to video because that was a long time ago. But I mean, like, you think they would have given me, or Joel or whatever would have given me some great, you know, experiences, like better ones. Since I sit here and stare at this all the time. Well, because like, this is kind of funny, but and I maybe talk about this in another scenario. But like, you know, like I sleep in my, you know, second bedroom or whatever. Yeah, but lately I've been sleeping in the back bedroom for a couple weeks now. But Goldie, what are you doing? What you doing? She's drinking the water. But because I'm sitting here, you know, laying on the bed or whatever, and I'm always looking at this right there, this Egyptian thing. And well, I guess I think that was about 2013, 2014. And see, those are huge. Those statues are freaking huge. And well, sure enough, they, or Joel or whatever, gave me an experience And now this was more like really, really virtual reality. This felt more like, oh, this was a virtual reality, like 3D type of scenario, and where I was actually on top, and this was a low gravity experience where I was on top of those statues, and I was just kind of like flying and floating and jumping from statue to statue, like low gravity wise, like as if I was just light as a feather. So that's why, like, I'm shocked that they haven't given me, you know, A+ experience in the Titanic. But now that I'm talking about it, he probably will. Watch, Joe will give me a good one. But you know, it may not be in the morning. It may be 3 or 4 or 5 days from now. But I bet you he will. You watch.